Okay, so welcome back to another video by Network Trainings by Kuldeep. And yes, in this video we are going to talk about OSI model, right? So in previous video we have done some basic part of networking, like we discussed some basic terms and terminology, type of cables and what are network types, and like we covered electrical and electronics type of signals and etc etc, right? So in this part, in this video, we are going to cover OSI model, right? So this is what we are going to do: introduction, then what do we mean by layered architecture of OSI model, and not just OSI model. In this video we are going to talk about all network reference models, right? So yes, what are upper layers and lower layers in OSI, and why we are dividing this complete architecture into layers, why there are 7 layers of OSI model, right? And then we will discuss some important terms that is used throughout networking, right? Not just in CCNA, but yes, in all type of network courses and like advanced courses also you will see these PDU, protocol data unit. Yes, it is going to be there, like what are segments, what are packets, and today I will demystify the actual difference and the actual definitions of segments, packets and frames, right? And yes, why and where and how OSI model is useful in network troubleshooting, right? So this is that we are going to cover in this video. So let's start with the first slide, okay? And this is going to be the type of network reference model. See, in early stages of networking, when you can say different vendors were there. So let's take for this simple example, like there are, for sake, 3 different vendors. This is company IBM, this is, you can say, Microsoft, and this is, you can say, Intel. So there are 3 different organizations, quite big organizations, and they have like thousands of their own internal users, and then they have their customer base, okay, right? So this is their private network, and they have multiple thousands and thousands. So these are enterprise network, means quite big networks. And okay, now they are providing services to their customers, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3 and all. And now again Microsoft is providing services to another customers, okay, fine. Intel is providing services to another customer, okay, right? So everything was fine, but what will happen if this device by IBM got faulty for customer 2? Okay, so they need to replace this device by another device, okay, or they need some software in their devices, they need some hardware extension on their devices, small component of hardware. So they are totally reliant upon IBM for everything. So this is like kind of monopoly, if you can understand by that. So what ISO came up with, International Organization for Standards, that by using this approach we cannot grow internet as a large essential phenomena, you can say. Like what internet is today, it could not be possible if we were continuing with this approach. So what they came up with, that you should use some, see, this is proprietary, okay, fine, this is proprietary, fine, and again this is proprietary, but there should be something, the piece of hardware and software that should be intercommunicated. Means when for a simple example, let me tell you, when any brand, any software making, any operating system who is making, like it can be Linux, it can be Windows, it can be Mac, anyone who is making operating systems, they need to support IP addressing. So let me give you this example first. So let's get here, and if I rub some part of this, okay, so that it's not that much messy, and it's my habit, so pardon me for that, okay. Sorry. Suppose this is a PC, and this PC, this is a piece of hardware, it can be bought from IBM, Dell or HP, whatever. But when you will install some software on it, operating system, so either it is Windows or it is Mac or it is your Linux operating system, there you will find this IP part, right? In earlier networks it was not the case. Everybody, like Mac people, they used AppleTalk protocol for this addressing part, and in your what I say, novel architectures, they used IPX, SPX protocol for this logical identification, right? But nowadays, if you will see, everybody use this addressing, IP addressing, that we are going to talk about in the next videos. But yes, you should remember that there is some part of hardware and software which is not proprietary and which is vendor independent. So just remember this example. And if I give one more example, like if I need to purchase a bike, for example, and I have 2-3 options. I can purchase a Bullet, which is quite popular in my area especially, and I could purchase some simple bike like Hero Honda, Splendor, Glamour and all. So there is one benefit to buy Honda bikes, that their parts are available on like every shop. So their parts are kind of what they say, not proprietary. They can be used in any bike, right? So if my bike got damaged or faulty, I can repair that easily in the nearby from the nearby mechanic. Okay, but if I have Bullet and it got faulty, then I have to specifically search for the mechanic shop who is dealing with the bullets. So I think this point is clear to you, why we are coming up with these network reference models like OSI, TCP, IP, so that we could create vendor independent networks. First of all, just clarify this thing, and then we'll move forward, right? So this is why part is very necessary, and rest of the part will be clear by itself. So why we are discussing about OSI, TCP, IP? Because we need to create vendor independent networks, right? First, then there are some other part like how to understand the logical flow of data across network. How? Let me give you one more example. Suppose there is this PC connected to some other PC, and when I say there is some address on them, okay, so let me assign some IP on them like 10.0.1. okay, कंट्रोल C करूँगा एक बार, and that will be control V. Okay, so it should be 10.2, right? So we have IP on both of the devices. So now if I do this part, so let me check the connectivity between two devices. 10.1, so I think timeout. So let me check the IP again. okay, we don't have 10.1, right? So yes, so I just assigned 10.1 on this PC and 10.2 on that PC. So once again, if I'll do, yes, 10.1 the reply is coming, and 10.2 means the other PC, yes, we are getting the reply. Okay, so how we are getting these packets from one source to another destination, one place to another, right? If I get into more detail like this, so when I'm sending the pack, means when I'm doing ping, it means one device is sending some such messages to another device. So these models, OSI, TCP, IP, they help us to understand these packets. How? If I'll click on these, so you can see source IP, destination IP, source MAC, destination MAC, means what is happening at the background processes, right? So this is that we can understand by understanding these network models, right? And then finally we will discuss how they are helping us in the network troubleshooting part. So yes, I hope it is clear to you why we are dealing with network models. And then yes, there are 3 models, okay, when you will discuss about network models. These 2 are different to understand the flow of networks and flow of packets in the data networks, and this is specially when we need to design networks, right? So we'll get into this later. So I'll tell you some things about this, and we'll discuss in detail about these 2 models, especially about OSI model. Because see, OSI model and TCP IP model, if I talk about these, OSI is generally used for what I say, teaching purpose, right? When I'm training you people, so I can't rely upon TCP IP model, okay, because it doesn't give me theoretical part how and everything is being done in the network, right? But yes, OSI model, it is giving me the theoretical part, right? So I can make you guys understand very easily what is networking and how data is flowing logically in the networks, right? So OSI model is not documented actually, so it is just for teaching purpose, you can say, right? There is no place for OSI model in real networking, so just understand this from now only. And yes, TCP IP only, it has the place in real networking, how the all of the protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, your TCP, UDP, IP, every protocol is given in this model. Okay, so this is the reason that TCP IP model is real documented model, and this model is used generally for teaching purpose. So I'm taking the reference of this model, and if we are cleared with this model, then to discuss TCP IP it will be lot easier. So let's get started with this. Okay then, so types of network reference model. OSI model has 7 layers, TCP IP model has 4 layers, and Cisco architectural model has 3 layers. So yes, these are 7 layers: application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical layers. And TCP IP model has 4 layers only. In some reference books you will find 5 layers, and in some you will find 4 layers. So it is nothing to worry about. So these are just comparative layers. And let me tell you about that also. In this, these 3 layers are represented by single layer. Transport layer is there. Network layer in TCP IP model is known by internet layer. And then yes, sometimes you will find them here as 2 different layers, and sometimes you will find only 1 layer, which is network access layer. And yes, there is this question which is like asked 50-60%, that which TCP IP model layer is equivalent to the network layer of OSI model, right? So the answer is internet layer. So yes, okay, so we'll get into this later on, and let's focus on OSI model first. Okay then, fine. Sorry, why OSI model? So we have discussed these 3 parts. Okay, introduction to OSI. So I think I have covered the introduction part, but okay, let's get into it once again. So developed by ISO. What is ISO? International Organization for Standardization. Whatever electrical organization you are having, electronics, so when they want to launch some product, okay, it can be hardware product or it can be a software product, so they need some certification, means okay, it can be used worldwide on any customer without any problem, right? So they need to define the standard. Let me give you the example of this RJ45 connector. So when anybody, like if I'm interested in making some PCs, then I need to get certified that yes, I will use this connector only in my PC for internet or LAN connectivity, right? Or if I need to make the PC wireless, I need to provide wireless connectivity, then I need to get along with another standard, that is 802.11, which is Wi-Fi standards. And this RJ45, this is 802.3 standard. So these are different standards, and ISO, IEEE, INST, these are different organizations which are working for providing these kind of worldwide standards, right? So these standards, understand this part, these are very necessary so that we could create generic networks, right? Okay, so OSI stands for Open System Interconnection, and you will find this question sometimes in your interview or even in your online exam. What is the full form of OSI? So there will be some different answers, and this is the right answer: Open System Interconnect or Interconnection Model, right? Idea was to develop, yes, vendor independent hardware and software so that they could be used interchangeably in different networks. Troubleshooting we'll discuss later. It just explains how internet works and how data flows, and we will understand this also. No physical appearance. Yes, only TCP IP model has its appearance in real networks, right? So let me give you this example also, how and why TCP IP is there in real network and not OSI model. Why OSI model is just for teaching purpose. If I'll go to my PC and I'll do window R ncpa.cpl, you will go into this setting of your PC, and you will find that yes, there are some connectors, like I'm using my virtual machines, and there you will find properties, and there you will find IPv4 and IPv6 settings, right? So it should be here somewhere, this one. So this part this is given by a TCP IP model. Okay, acha, okay, so let me get into this one. So just a second, this one. So this is not provided by OSI model, this is given by TCP IP model. So you will not find any trace, any footprint of OSI model anywhere in the networking, only TCP IP is there. See, you can see TCP IPv4, right? So I think this point is clear to you, and yes, okay. So let's get into this OSI model thing. This is a 7-layered architecture. I told you already that there are 7 layers, and why we have created 7 layers. So there are multiple answers for that, right? So let's first of all understand the part about layers, and then yes, I'll get into that and I'll answer that question. So, and there is one more concern there also, that I have written this as 7 layer and I have written this as first layer, but sometimes you will find like this is first layer or this is 7th layer. So it is kind of a debate topic for people of network people. But yes, let me tell you, this is like that question, which came first, hen or egg in the world. So it is like that. So I don't like to get into this discussion further. So let's just understand one thing first, that when I'm discussing this, let me give you this perfect example for that. So suppose this is my PC and this is some like facebook.com, and when I'm requesting Facebook to display my login page, and then Facebook is replying me. So there are two different purposes. So there are two different processes, right? So when first is I am requesting what is that? Yes, facebook.com server. So I'm writing in the new tab of my PC facebook.com, means data is being processed from my PC to the Facebook server. Then you can see I need what? To run internet, I need as a user, you will look at the cable first or you will look at the browser first. So just keep in mind. So I'm a user, I am having a PC, so I'll just click on my browser, right? So I need application software for that. So when I'm sending data, this is the first layer that I am interacting with. So which is that? Application layer. From application layer, data will travel to presentation layer, then session layer, transport, network, data link, and finally to physical layer. It can be like I'm using wireless, okay? So it will be in radio frequency term, and suppose if I was using wire, then it would travel in the wire in some different type of electrical signal. So this is the process when I'm sending, and when the server is receiving, the process is like this, because data is first received at the connector, then from physical layer it will travel up, and finally it will be displayed on the server. So it is like that. Yes, so it depends which is first layer. So when I'm sending, it is the first, and when I'm receiving, that one is the first. Okay. And one more thing about this, networking people, being a network engineer, network admin, this is your first layer, right? When we are doing in troubleshooting, maintenance part, but when we are programmer and application developer, this is the first layer. So yes, I would like to give these two reference parameters to you, so you can use either of them or both of them as per your requirement, as per your wish. But yes, this is something about which layer is first and which one is last. And one more thing I'm giving you to brainstorm, that when we will be done with this OSI model, then you will ask this question to yourself, right? These layers, they work in perfect order, like 7th layer first, 6th layer, then 5th layer, or multiple layers can work simultaneously, right? So this is a question for you. You can answer me in the comment, and yes, you should have your answer of this question. Okay, right, so let's get along with this OSI model for without further separate discussion. Right, so there are 7 layers: application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical layer. And people who are new to networking, to remember these 7 layers, this is an acronym just I made for you guys. Always, A for always, application sorry, P for pay, presentation, salute, session, right? So this is, you can understand I think easily. So okay, pay attention to this, and if you can remember otherwise, then it's perfect. You just need to remember the order of this, because you can get the order question on this order, like how, let me give you 1 2 3 4, okay, and there are these 4 names: application, then there is your data link layer, then there is network layer, and then there is session. So they will ask you arrange these layers one by one, है ना? So first application, then session, then आपका network, and then data link. So yes, you can get question on this. So you need to remember the order of these layers. Okay then, so let's start. The 7 layers are further divided into 2 more categories for the sake of simplicity. Okay, so lower layer is there and upper layers are there. Okay, so let me tell you by this, and not by this only, first of all. So these layers, see, these 3 layers, these are known as upper layers, and these are known as lower layers. And these are close to the user, that's why they are also called host layer, and these are close to the network, so that's why they are called as media layers, right? So MIDIA, media layers. So yes, you can get the questions. So I'm telling you guys what type of questions you can get in OSI, because there are like hundreds of questions that can be created from a lone OSI model, right? So yes, so these are upper layers and lower layers. So these are host layers and these are media layers. These are closer to the user and these are closer to the network. Okay, so let's, okay, and why they are upper layers, why they are lower layers? So let's discuss this. Upper layer means the layer which are useful or which are for interest of programmers, right? So for developing applications, so they have no real involvement in real data packaging. So when we will be discussing segments and packets and frames, they will be discussed only on lower layers, network layers, right? So yes, and about lower layers, you can see these layers actually deals with how data is really being transferred, right? And network engineering is all about these layers, and you will be focusing on upper layers only if you are a programmer. Fine, so this is the summary. So this is actually the core start of OSI, the function part of each layer, right? So let me tell you a brief of first of OSI all layers, and then we'll get into one by one. So let's take the example of browser running internet. Let's take this example that yes, I'm having this PC and I need to run internet on this PC. So understand this OSI model from this example. Okay, so first of all, to run internet, what I will need? First of all, I will need a browser. Yes or no? Yes. So what browser is, and on which application, on which layer of OSI model browser works? So this is on application, as the name is telling me that browser is what? Application layer software. So see, there are 3 type of software. Let me tell you, just a second. See, when we are discussing about softwares, what softwares are? They are the packages of programs, multiple programs. And what is program? Set of instructions. When multiple instructions are there, it creates a program, and when multiple programs are combined, it creates a software. So there are generally 3 types of software: operating software, operating system, and your application software. Then there are utility software. So generally we discuss these 2. Operating system, what do we mean by operating system? Windows 7, Windows 10, Linux, Mac OS, Macintosh, right? And what about application software? The software which we use for particular purposes, like MS Office, MS Excel, or you can say all of the editors you are having, all of the converters we are having, PDF readers. So these are all application layer softwares. So what we need to run internet? We need a browser. So browser comes under operating system? No, it comes under application software. So what browser is doing actually, it's providing me an interface to access the internet, right? So this work is done at the application layer. So it means application layer is providing me an interface so that I could access the network or internet resources, right? So this was the function of your application layer, to provide the user some interface so that he could access the network resources, right? Okay, so let's take one more example. You are using your iPhone, or you are using some Android phone, and you need to access your Facebook or WhatsApp. So you need to click on WhatsApp application, right? So that's why that is called application. Okay, fine. Presentation layer. So see, everything, this is orange color, okay, this is bluish color, this is some different purple color, or maybe I don't have much idea about different colors. Okay, so this is black. Yes, black is worldwide my personal favorite. So yes, how this is arranged, 4 is written like this, okay, 3 is written like this, and this dot is there, means everything that is being presented to me as a display, that is handled by presentation layer. Means how data is being formatted, you understand? So that is the part of presentation layer. And one more thing about presentation layer, all of the data encryption and decryption. Like if I give you the example of WhatsApp itself, in previous versions of WhatsApp there was no secure encrypted communication, but nowadays if you will save some number, or when you are part of a group, then you will see that message, right? At the top there will be a lock type of icon, and there will be written this message that end-to-end communications are now encrypted. So it means what? Your application layer software provide you and support encryption. So what is encryption? To protect your data, right? So it is supported. So default your presentation, sorry, default encryption and decryption, it is supported at presentation layer. But yes, there are different type of encryption decryption also, which is used at transport layer also. Yes, so we'll discuss later in some other VPN videos maybe, but for now by default encryption, decryption, compression, decompression, everything is supported at presentation layer. What we mean by compression, maybe you know, yes, but guys who are new, just take this example of WhatsApp again. When you are trying to send a picture to somebody and you have clicked that picture from your mobile phone, and it is of 5 MB, but when you send it via WhatsApp, it is of 200 KB, 300 or maybe 500 KB. So it means it is the same video, but the quality is lesser, right? So that means the image has been compressed. So it is like that. And one more, yes, this is something that I want to tell you, emphasize on that. It is a layer which makes the communication OS independent. How? It means this is my client PC and this is Facebook server. It is using Windows 10 and there we are using a Linux server. So these are two different operating systems, but they can communicate with each other, right? So again, if I take this example also, this one, if this PC has Windows 7, if this PC has Mac OS, you can communicate between them, right? So yes, this is the function of your presentation layer, to make the communication OS independent. And session layer, if I talk about this, so it just has this function of starting, maintaining the session between client and server, between two users, and when we have done, we are done, when we have completed and finished our processing or our communication process, then that socket, that session is broken. So let's take the example of Facebook. Let's take the example of your Gmail. So when we are accessing Facebook, I need to log in. It means I'm creating a session with Facebook server. Again, when I'm entering my login ID and password in Gmail, it means I'm creating a new session with Gmail server, right? So yes, again, there are different things about session layer, that yes, some sessions are protected, some are not. Some sessions are automatically terminated when we are not using that session for a time period. Like if you are using Gmail and if you are inactive for maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour, your Gmail account is logged out automatically, right? But in Facebook, you can be there for 24/7. Either you are using or you are not using it, you will be there logged in permanently, right? So yes, that depends upon different types of settings and etc etc. But yes, the core function of session layer is to start, to maintain the sessions and terminate the sessions when the communication process is over. Okay, so these are three upper layers, right? First is your application layer, which provide an interface to user to access the network. Then to present the data according to different OS parts and according to different systems. And then there is session layer, which is connecting two devices in the network. In simple words, session layer is connecting two devices in the network. Now if I talk about transport layer na, so this is the layer, this session layer, it was connecting two devices in the network. Okay, so transport layer, it is transferring the data between the devices in the network. Make sense? It means first of all, let's understand transport layer is the most important layer of all. Why? See, remember the last video where we discussed the basics of networking and we talked about why we created networks. So the answer was so that we could share data, we could transfer data from one device to another device. That is the core reason we developed the networks, so that we could transfer data from one place to another or one device to another. So this layer, transport layer, it is actually dealing with that. Means let me tell you, data transfer process. This is the most important part na. So this layer is dealing in the most important part. That's why this is the core layer, you can say, right? And one more thing, you can get this question also, which layer is intermediate or which layer is connecting upper layer with lower layer, something like that. So the answer is transport layer. So you can see that this is in the middle of upper layer and lower layer, but yes, it is in lower layer. And okay, transport layer has this function, and there are these two protocols in TCP/IP. At the last of this video, I'll get into TCP/IP and I'll discuss some protocols there. So in application layer, we'll discuss SMTP and we will discuss DNS is there, and your TFTP, FTP, SSH, Telnet. So there are multiple protocol in the TCP/IP model which lies in your application layer. Okay, but if we talk about transport layer, there are two important layers, TCP and UDP. So these I can discuss at any point of time in our video discussion in later on videos, because we will be discussing DNS also, we will be discussing Telnet and SSH, FTP and TFTP. We will discuss in detail all of these protocols, right? But TCP and UDP, this is more important to discuss right now, because we will not having some separate chapter on these, right? So let's understand the part of TCP and UDP first. What are TCP, UDP? These are transport layer protocols. Means these are the protocols which are used to transfer data from one device to another device, from one network to another network. And I told you guys in the introductory video that to do anything in network, you need some protocols. So in this layer, the protocols are TCP and UDP. And now let's discuss why we are using two different protocols, what is the function of each and everything, right? So I think I have added some yes, this one. No, I have not added some differentiation part. So okay, so let me discuss here TCP and UDP, right? So yes, this is TCP and this is UDP. First of all, the very basic difference which differentiate TCP and UDP. TCP is connection oriented protocol. This is connection oriented, and this one, this is connectionless protocol. What do we mean by that? See, TCP use three-way handshake process. What is that? Three-way handshake process. It doesn't use any mechanism like this. So let's understand this by, this is a client, this is a server, okay, and we are using first TCP and in another we are using UDP, right? Sorry. When we are using TCP, when data is being transferred from client to server or server to client, it means suppose I'm sending this much data at a time, right? So the server, or suppose it will make more sense, server is sending this data to client, so client will be giving acknowledgement that yes, I have received this much data and you can send next part of data, right? And this is while we are sending, but before sending also client will say, hey, I want to connect with you. It will receive it, okay, it will say yes, great, fantastic, I'm having my resources ready, you can connect with me whenever you are ready. And then again it will say yes, okay bro, I'm ready, and let's start the communication process. So after these first, second and third stage, the actual data transfer mechanism will begin in TCP/IP, in using TCP, this one. But in UDP there is no such case. When they need to send data or receive data, it will say I'm sending, like it will automatically start sending the data, right? So there is no acknowledgement process in this. And once again, one more thing, this is reliable. Second thing is, this is reliable and this is not reliable. Why? When this is sending data, this server is sending some data to client, and out of 100 MB maybe it received 80 MB and 20 MB is lost, so it will negatively acknowledgement, okay boss, I didn't receive 20 MB, send it again. And yes, because TCP is reliable, it will send it again. But in UDP, see, in TCP there is 100% guarantee of delivery, है ना, 100% deliverance guarantee. But in UDP there is no guarantee, it is just best effort policy, means I will try my best but rest is in God's hand, like doctor says, है ना. Okay, so this is one more difference between TCP and UDP, that yes, TCP is connection oriented, TCP use three-way handshaking, but UDP doesn't use any similar mechanism. And TCP was reliable because it has retransmission feature, but in UDP there is no retransmission. One more difference, major difference between TCP is this, that just a second, TCP use this feature windowing and UDP doesn't use. Windowing means, like if I'm having this PC and this server, this was client, this was server, and or it's not just client server, any process which are using TCP model, right? So this is sending like maybe 5 MB data per second, but its buffer memory of the receiver, it is only 3 MB, means it can only receive 3 MB per second. So it will say it, okay, hey bro, I'm not able to process 5 MB data per second, so can you please slow down a little bit? It will say okay, no problem, fine for me. So it will reduce its speed to 3 MB per second, right? So this amount of data that is being transferred at a time, that is the window size, okay? So TCP support this feature, but UDP doesn't support this feature. So these are three major differences between TCP and UDP, and you can be asked with these questions in your interviews or in your online exam. Okay, then fantastic. We have discussed the difference between TCP and UDP, and we have discussed three-way handshake roughly, but let's get into the technical details of this three-way handshake. So what is three-way handshake actually? So let me give this example once again. This is a client, this is a server. So it will say that I want to synchronize some data with you. Okay, so what are the synchronization part? It means what is my buffer capacity, how much data I can receive or how much data I can send at a time. And yes, there are what I would say them sequence number. Yes, so just get into this also. Sequence numbers is initiated at this sync part. What is sequence number? See, I told you that in TCP there is a retransmission feature. So when you are sending data, means this is your complete 5 MB image, but you cannot send 5 MB per second actually in real network. So I will get into that later. You need to send the data in parts, smaller parts. Complete data is divided into smaller parts like this. So this is a data unit. So complete data is divided into data units, and those data units are transferred over the network. So let's say these are multiple DUs, data units like this. And what TCP does, TCP numbers them 1 2 3 4 like that. And when they are so they can be in order or they can be out of order, means it can be 4, it can be 55, it can be 3, it can be 67. When they are received at the server or at the other end, then they are assembled again. So assembled again. And if there some part is missing, like I missed this part, so this part will be sent again. Make sense? So this part is everything, these sequence numbering, the window size, everything is discussed or negotiated in this sync part. So first is sorry for that, the fumble. TCP three-way handshake, first part is your sync part, means in between two devices there is this sync part, right? Okay, so after sync, when the client is syncing with the server will reply that yes, I acknowledge all of your parameters and I'm agreeing with your parameters, right? And finally, when they are compatible with each other on all of the parameters, then it will say okay, fantastic, perfect, let's start communicating. So then after this process, the server will actually start transferring data, or the client will start receiving data. So does it make sense to you? I hope so. So this is that we discussed. So say transport layer is most important layer in the OSI model, and it has the most complex part to discuss also, right? So it deserves that I think, right? And then okay, in network layer, what features, what functions we have, we need to define the logical addressing, IP addressing. It is done at the network layer. We need to do the routing, it is also done at the network layer. And okay, one more thing, let me tell you, when we are discussing about any layer in OSI model, see, there are 4 things that we need to discuss. So this is a layer, like, and there are functions. So when I'm discussing layer 4, maybe transport layer, so there are 4 things: functions of a layer that I have already discussed and we are discussing one by one. Then protocols on a layer, okay, that transport layer protocols we have discussed, TCP and UDP, and devices which are being used at that layer, and PDU name on that layer. So we are being familiar with functions, we are doing this, protocols we are doing this, okay. So type of devices, like if I take the example of network layer, okay, so just a minute, this one, okay. So on transport layer there is no such device, but yes, they say that firewall work on transport layer because firewall work on port numbers. And yes, from port number I remember one more important concept, how internet works using sockets, right? So let's get into that once again. So just a second, let me erase this mess. Okay, so there should be a slide for that, let me find that. This we have done, and yes, this is something that we need to do, this one. Suppose I need to before that I think I need to tell you about IP addressing. Okay then, so let's do one thing, continue with this approach only. Okay, so we have discussed about transport layer, some functions and some I'm leaving behind so that I could understand better at the later on points. Yes, okay, in network layer, see, we need to identify devices in a network, remember? So that is logical addressing, and we are using in worldwide IP addressing, right? And once again we need routing. Why routing? See, there is 1 device, 2 device, 3 device, like these are routers worldwide, and they are connected like this, okay. And router has this function to transfer data from one network to another network. Suppose this is my source, this is my destination, and I need to send data from this source to this destination. And you can see there are 1 2 3 4 5 Are you getting the point? There are hundreds and thousands of paths from source to destination. Now you cannot use all of the paths simultaneously. No, you need the best path to send your data from source to destination. What do we mean by best path? The path with highest bandwidth, the path with lowest delay, right? So these are called your best path. So this function is of layer 3, network layer. So IP addressing and routing, it is used on network layer. Now if I talk about devices, routers, layer 3 switch, they work on network layers, right? So their protocol are TCP UDP in transport layer, but at network layer only one protocol is there, that is IP. If I talk about data link layer, so this was logical addressing, and data link layer we are using physical addressing, right? So I will give you the example why we need both of the addressing and what is the use of each one of them, right? So let's get into this example. So see, these are two devices in a network, okay? And let me give you clear picture just a second. Let me erase that for a bit. Okay, so let's connect these devices with a switch. So let's create a bigger network like this. Okay, so these devices need to connect to the switch, right? Like this. So we can create a bigger network also. I'm giving you the larger perspective. So okay, when we are using these devices, it is having a MAC address. You can see 0007.AC4B, something like that, and we are using this 00E0.F701 something. So this is the physical address, MAC address, and again I have assigned this 10.0.0.2, again 10.0.0.1. so there are two different types of addresses. One is IP addresses, one is MAC address. IP is being used at network layer, MAC is used at the data link layer. What is the use of both of these layers? Okay, so let's understand. See, MAC is used to give this device hardware identification. It means, suppose there is a company, you can say the example of you can say IBM. Okay, so IBM is manufacturing PCs and it has manufactured 1 million pieces in a lot, in a month, you can say. So this your IBM manufacturer need to identify these devices, right? Because they need to be certified, and the standard authority like ISO, IEEE, they need to verify all of these devices at every point of time later on also, right? So that they could be tracked, so that they could not do any illegal activities, right? So they need to provide them some identity. So that identity is MAC address, and we will discuss later that MAC address is a 48-bit address. So this is encoded in their hardware. Understand? When we are having the LAN card, you can see RJ45, so that is for wire, and wireless we have 802.11 Wi-Fi cards. So these cards have MAC address built into them, right? So if your PC is having two network cards, like one for wired and one for wireless, we will have two MAC addresses, right? So understand this part. MAC address is provided for network interface, not just for the PC. It means one network will have one MAC, one network card will have one MAC address, and two network cards will have two MAC address, but the PC is single only. Are you getting my point? So yes, one device can have more than one MAC addresses, right? So okay, this is the physical identification part, MAC address. But when we are using these devices on a network like this, then they need to be identified in a network also. Means how this first PC will identify that I need to transfer data to this one. Okay, physical addressing is there, but without this part that I'm going to show you now, this one. See, I'm having IP, I don't have MAC. So this encapsulation, decapsulation, it means how to logically divide your data into data units, right? So for that purpose you need logical addressing to do this part. See this one, to send the data across networks. You cannot send data by using just the MAC address. No, you need some connectivity. The connectivity which can only be done by using softwares, and the software part is your operating system. And how operating system are connected with each other? By using IP addressing. So yes, so just remember these two things. MAC address is for your physical identification, worldwide identification you can say, and your IP address, it is for your network identification, to identify your device in your network. So yes, if you are having again further doubts in this, let me know in the comments. But yes, just remember that this is something that we are going to discuss in multiple videos, so it will be clarified later on also, right? Why IP and MAC both, what is the difference between IP and MAC, what is the difference between the bit size and everything. So yes, it will be discussed, but for now just remember IP is responsible for this logical flow. We cannot do this by MAC address only, right? So yes, MAC address is the phenomena of your data link layer, and IP addressing is the phenomena of your network layer. So MAC is physical addressing and IP is logical addressing. And why this is physical addressing and why this is logical addressing? Because see, in data link layer, physical addressing means, as I told you, the MAC address is hardware address. It means it is in there in the network card, physically present in there, encoded in the hardware. But IP, no, it is the software part. It can be changed anytime. Like if now I'm using this 10.1 IP, but some later point I can use 10.11, or I can use a separate network also, 192.168.10.11, like that. So it's totally optional, it's totally changeable. But MAC address you cannot change. Once you will get a device, a network card, it will be having a permanent MAC address. So that's why it is physical and IP is logical, right? Finally we are having okay, fine, one more thing is left on data link layer, type of device. So switches are there, layer 2 switches bridge the devices which were there before switches. These are also data link devices. Access point, wireless access points, devices like this which are being used to provide wireless connectivity. See, if this is a wireless access point, okay, not lightweight access, so let me take this one. Okay, so this is access point, and what is the function of access point? To provide you the Wi-Fi connectivity. So let's take this smart device, and it will be connected to this wireless device. So this access point, this wireless device, it is okay, it will be into real time. It need to be in the in packet tracer. Just remember, most of the things they will be done in real time. In simulation you will come just to send these packets, okay, to understand that flow of data, this one. Otherwise, to do everything you need to be in the real time mode, okay. So yes, these access points which provide wireless connectivity, they are also the device of layer 2. Finally we are getting towards the physical layer. Physical layer is responsible for all physical parts. What are the physical parts? Which type of cable you are using, what is your topology, star or your mesh or ring, and which port you are using, either wired RJ45 or wireless 802.11, right? Which type of connectors you are using. So what is your data rate, 10 Mbps, 100 Mbps, what is your data mode, half duplex, full duplex, and yes, what is duplex? I think I have not covered in the basics part, right? So let's understand this for a bit. What is duplex and what is simplex? So when we talk about data communication, see, in last video we discussed what is communication. It is the process to send data or information from one place to another or from source to destination. Communication can be of two types. One is simplex and one is duplex. Okay, what is simplex? Means only one is sending at a time, either the sender or the means either client or server. Like if I take the example of TV broadcast, like these days IPL are going on, and when IPL match is being broadcasted from one side only, we are receiving, just receiving. So this is kind of simplex. And again, radio broadcast, it is also simplex. One-sided communication is simplex. And in duplex means I am sending the data from source to client source to destination and destination to source, right? So two type of communication, two-sided communications is duplex, means one-sided and two-sided. But again duplex has further two types. What is that? Half duplex and full duplex. What do we mean by that, half and full? See, I'm telling you that yes, okay, two type of communications, both side communication can be done, okay, but either client can send or receive. See, you have seen that walkie-talkie that police people use. So either they are speaking or they are listening. They cannot do both of the task at the same time. Either they will be saying okay, hello, 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 and the people or the person at other end, he will or she will be just listening to the broadcast. But yes, when the let me give you some clear example. So just, I'm not convinced with this myself, so how can you be? So let's just take this another example for that. So just a second, give me. Yes, so for simplex, if we need to print something, I'm giving you the example of printer and scanner, okay? And there is a printer, there is a scanner. For printer you need a separate device, for scanning you need a separate device. So one-sided communication, it is the example of simplex. Okay, fine. But later on I'm having a machine which can work as a printer and it can work also as a scanner. Fine, perfect. Now it is the example of duplex communication, means one device can be used for both type of communications, okay? Now what is the difference between half duplex and full duplex? Half duplex means what? This machine can either print or scan. This machine can do one task at a time. One task at a time means the machine has the capability to do both of the tasks, but one at a time. So that means it is being operated at half duplex. But what if it was operated on full duplex? It means it can print and it can also scan, means both tasks simultaneously. So if I'm speaking to you over mobile phone, that is full duplex. I can listen to you, I can speak to you, I can send you messages at the same time, I can run internet same time, I can play music on the same time, I can do 5, 6, 10, 8 type of communication. So that is full duplex. But in half, like walkie-talkie, we were using only one task at a time. So I think that is clear to you what is the difference between half duplex, full duplex and your simplex and duplex, okay? So this data mode, they are decided at your physical layer. This is the phenomena of which layer? Physical layer of OSI model. And which devices are working on OSI model layer 1? Your connectors, your what I would say, cables, right? So everything like mux and demux. Hub is a network device which work on layer 1. Repeaters. So yes, it is about that. So okay, from till now we have discussed functions of each layer, upper layers and lower layers. Application layer provide you network interface, presentation layer give you the formatting, and session layer create sessions, transport layer deals in sending, transferring actual data, network layer provide IP addressing, data link layer provide MAC addressing, and physical layer provide you physical specification like connectors and cables and everything. So okay, so as I told you, we need to discuss 4 parts about each layer: functions, then protocols. So we are done with this part, okay, these 2. Then third is your device, and we are also done with these 3. There is 4th term, name of PDU at each layer. So this is left. So let's discuss this PDU part also. Okay, so just give me a second and let me breathe for a while. Right, so let's get into this PDU part for a while. And okay, see, I told you, and I think I have a slide for that. Just a minute. Yes, PDU. No, it's not there. Okay, maybe in the, okay, then no problem. as I told you guys that yes, when I need to send some data like this is a 10 GB video. It can be anything, any data, and data means it can be either a picture, it can be audio, it can be video, or it can be text. There are only 4 type of medias, right? So this data cannot be sent at the same time, complete package. No, it need to be divided into smaller parts, right? Like this, smaller multiple parts. So these parts are known as data units, like that. So let me take this example of one data unit. Means the way one data unit is being sent over the network is the same for these other data units. So I'm just erasing all of them and I'm taking the example of only one data unit. So just remember, what is the difference between data? It is the complete part that need to be transferred or received, and data unit, the smaller divided part of data, right? Okay, now this data unit, suppose let's say I'm writing this letter to one of my friend and I need to send it to this address. This is his or her home, this one. I need to send it to her home and I need to send it. Okay, I need to go to my post office and I need to post it. So what postman will say? Hey, are you mad? I will ask why, because he will say to me that you have not written any address here. Buddy, write some address where you need to send it, and write your address also where he need to send it back, if he or she need to write me some reply. And I would say, okay, so I need to do some addressing part. This is data. This data cannot travel to the destination by itself. No, it will need some further detail. So are you getting my point? So that detail, it means when this data unit is let me write this: application, presentation, session, then transport, network, data link layer, and physical layer. When this data unit will enter at the application layer, this layer, application layer, will add some information with this. Means suppose we are using this Microsoft Edge browser and Mozilla browser and Chrome, all of the 3. So some of the tabs are being opened in this Chrome browser and some tabs are open in Mozilla browser. So this layer will identify which browser is being used. Suppose this is a client, this is a server, and it is getting the request like this, and there is one more server, Gmail server, this was Facebook server, it is getting. So I can do one thing, I can run Facebook on my Chrome browser and I can run Gmail on my Mozilla browser, and when I'll be getting reply, how the replies will identify that I am destined for my Chrome or for Mozilla? It means there should be something when you are sending the data, when you are requesting to the server. So that information is added by the layer with the data, actual data, original data part. So that is known as header. Right? So what is header now? Header is the information added by layer with the original data. Once again, what is a header? Headed is the part of information which is added by each layer with original data unit. Make sense? Yes. So don't worry, I have written everything in this slide, so just take reference for that. For now, just understand that yes, when every data unit is received at each layer, that layer add its own information with that in form of some headers. So that header is added at data application layer when this data get along to presentation layer. Okay, so this is received as it is, DU, header of application layer, and then presentation layer add its own header, header of presentation layer. Okay, when this is received at session layer, so this is received as it is, DU, header of application layer, header of presentation layer. When this is received at transport layer, so this as it is received, and transport layer add its own header. Again, this is received as it is by data link network layer, and its header is added separately. Again, at data link layer, when it is received as it is, and data link layer add its own header. So you are getting this point? So when this data unit is attached with some data, see, DU plus protocol information means header. So this becomes protocol data unit. Make sense? Protocol information plus data unit is equal to PDU, or DU plus header is equal to PDU, in simple words, like that. So it means each layer creates its own PDU, right? So what I need to discuss, that what is the name of PDU at each layer. So just remember that upper layers have no name for PDUs. It means data is not divided in upper layers, right? So this DU process, it is done at transport layer. I just told you for the simplicity and for example sake, just remember that. But actual data units, protocol data units, they are created from lower layers. So the name of this PDU at your transport layer, that is your segment, right? And the name of PDU at your network layer, that is packet. At data link layer, that is frame. And finally on physical layer, that is bits, 1010. Actually when you need to transfer data, they need to be converted into bits, right? Okay, now you will ask me what kind of information segment is having, what kind of information packet is containing, right? So good question. So if I talk about bits, bits are only 0 and 01, stream of bits, right? Bytes and kilobytes and everything. Frame means frame will be having two type of data. And just remember, when we are discussing data link layer, it not just add the header part like this. So if I take this example, DU header of application layer, presentation, session, your transport, network, data link layer, right? Like this. So data link layer not just add header, it also add trailer. So now let's understand this part, what is header and what is trailer. So let's take this example, that this is the data DU, this is header, this is trailer. It means header is processed before the data. It means what? When a server is receiving some request from a client, it will not see that what kind of data it want to download. No, it will see the IP address of the source, the MAC address of the source, right? So these kind of information, they are processed before the actual request, right? So this is header. But then data is processed, okay, and then trailer is processed. Means like when we are doing like this, application, presentation, session and everything. So what we need to do before sending the data to the link, we need to check, is there some error, right? I have done added header, I have added data unit. Now I need to check, is this okay report otherwise, or is there some error, so that I could correct that error before sending, before actual sending. So trailer is processed after data and header before that. So in the mechanism of our body also, head means comes first, then there is middle part, and then your footer, that we say na, footer or trailer, synonyms are there. So yes, just remember, this is a question of interview and exam also, that which layer uses header as well as footer or trailer for its encapsulation or identification. So the answer is data link layer. Data link layer uses header as well as trailer. So yes, what frame is containing? Again, frame is having MAC addressing and your LLC, logical link control. So as they say, data link layer is the part of two different sub layers. One is MAC sub layer and one is LLC. What is the function of MAC? Physical addressing, right? And what is the purpose of LLC? Logical link control, to provide you error checking, right? So you can say this data link layer, it is responsible for two functions. First is to physically identify the device, and second to check if there is some error while sending the data or receiving the data, right? And okay, and I'll get into this later on, that this frame check is only done at the receiver, right? So just remember for now, yes, that there are two layers, and that one is MAC for physical addressing and one is LLC for your error checking, right? And later on when we will discuss frame structure in switching, then we will discuss FCS, CRC and everything, right? So frame will be discussed in length. Okay, then network layer, if we talk about network layer, and that is your IP addressing is there and routing is there. So these two functions are done at network layer, right? So in PDU packet these information will be there. So let's demystify it a little bit. So it means if there is this packet, see this is a packet, so what kind of information will be there? Source IP, destination IP, and frame is there. Okay, in it will be, so source IP is there, destination IP is there, DU is there, everything. Now this part it will be encapsulated again in the frame. So source MAC, destination MAC, like that. And again trailer means FCS, frame check sequence, to check the error. And just remember, data link layer only perform error checking, that's it. It's not responsible for error correction. No, it cannot resend the data. Data is resend at the transport layer. It will notify the transport layer, and if we are using TCP, then the data retransmission will occur or happen. And if we are using UDP, then we know that there will be no retransmission of data, right? Packets will be simply dropped. So this is the kind of information. IP addressing will be in the your packet and MAC addressing will be in your frame. And finally, when we talk about segments, the PDU of transport layer, what kind of information will be there in this? So there will be port addressing. So let's understand this port addressing. What is port addressing? Port addressing. So what is port addressing? See, I told you guys that this is my complete PC. This is my PC, you can see. And I need to send some data to some server. Just understand carefully. Okay, this is my PC, fine. And I need to send data to some server, fine. Again, I'm using multiple browsers. So let's take the example of a single browser. So this is Chrome, and I'm using 4 tabs or maybe 3 tabs, right? So this is having 10.1 one IP address, and this is connected to my switch, then to my router, and then ultimately to the ISP. Okay, fine. So this so let's remove this switch for a bit from the middle so that I could get a clear picture. Like this is connected to the router. So my first request will go to my router, and it will be from 10.1 it need to go to fb.com, fine. From second tab, again I am the same PC, so it is for gmail.com. okay, and suppose I'm using third browser, same IP, and it is for abc.com. okay, so my router received all 3, and this is transferred to, maybe this is Facebook server, maybe this is Gmail server, this is ABC server, fine. This will reply, this will reply, and this will reply to the router. Now router need to reply back, but router only reply to the IP address, but IP is same. How PC will get to know that which reply is for which tab? Are you getting the sense? Right. So we need further identification to reach to this device in the network. Suppose there were multiple PC in my network, this one PC2, this is PC1, this is maybe PC3. So to reach this PC we will use IP 10.3 to this 10.2. So yes, okay, clear, it is not for this, it is not for this, this is, these 3 requests are for this only, fine then. So this was the work of IP address. Now on which tab of this IP I need to send the request, first, second and third? This is the real question now. So we need a different addressing, which is port addressing, remember. So that is also the function of layer 4, your transport layer, because data is being transferred, so that we need to do port addressing. We need some different another identification which is done at the layer 4. So layer 2 addressing means MAC addressing, layer 3 addressing means IP addressing, and layer 4 addressing means port addressing. So let me give you the example. If I'll go to my window R CMD, and if you will write some command like netstat, you will get the idea what I'm talking about. See, this is your IP and this is the number, this is port number. Means one process, each different process, each different service of TCP and UDP, they are identified by different port numbers. So let's open this browser for a minute and let's take the example of this only. See, if I'm writing facebook.com here, so it will generate its own port number. It will be added with the IP. It will generate, again let me tell, gmail.com, it will add its own port number. So if I talk about this, see, when I'm opening some browser, it means this browser, first one, it added its own port number. So IP is same 10.1, but it will say okay, my port number is 2354, this one. Fine. This tab, it will say okay, IP is same, but my port number is 2203, this one, like that. This will add different port number and so on and on, right? So then they can be identified when they are at the router, and router knows okay, this is for this tab, this is for this tab, and this is for this tab. So now router can forward the traffic according to the processes. And just remember from this point that application layer is responsible for your host to host communication. Means data can come to the single host, but it has no idea how to go to the process, which process, first process, second process, third process. So that process to process communication is done by transport layer, right, using port number. So this is the concept, this is the logic of port numbers. And now if I talk about port numbers, so that should be okay here only. So this is something that I was talking about, the header and trailer, so you can see that. And when I'm talking about port number, so this is the concept of TCP UDP port numbers, right? So you can read the theory that yes, port number is your 16-bit identification, right? So it means 2 raised to power 16, 36, range is from this, and we can identify these further. 0 to 1023, these are reserved as well-known port numbers. Means we cannot assign these by ourselves. They are used by applications like HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, SMTP, TFTP. So these are used for well-known services, right? Then we need to do the processing for these different tabs, right? So I need to open, and this is done by the browser, okay? So don't worry that you need to generate them. No, the browser application layer software will generate them by themselves, and the port numbers which are generated for our services from source end. And one more thing, these are used as destination port numbers only, and these are generated as source port numbers. So 10242 to 49151. So first 1024 port numbers from 0 to 1023, those are reserved for your well known, okay? And again next from 1024 to 49151, these are for general purpose processes, right? And these ones, they are for specific network applications, right? And okay, you can they say that some game, like if you want to run some game and privately, then you can use these port numbers, okay, fine. And other things about, yes, one more thing, that TCP and UDP, these are protocols as we discussed, but DNS, SMTP, Telnet, these are processes which work on these protocol. Like DNS and DHCP, they work on UDP, but SMTP, Telnet, they work on TCP. So TCP and UDP, they have protocol numbers. TCP has protocol number 6, UDP has protocol number 17. Like OSPF is having 89 and EIGRP is having 88. We will discuss later. But yes, Telnet is a process, is a service which is running on TCP. So it will have port number. So Telnet has 23, SMTP 25, DNS 53, DHCP 67, 68, like that. So just remember this part also, that protocols have protocol numbers and processes have your port numbers. So I think we have discussed a lot in this video about OSI and your protocols and what kind of devices are being used, what is your PDU at each layer, what is the function of each layer. So let's see what is left. Three-way handshake, and I have discussed this internet using socket. And yes, one more thing I just remembered right now, that the combination, as I told you guys, when we are generating ports 10.0.1 and your port number like 25769, this combination of IP plus port number, this is known as a socket, and internet is running on this socket. Millions and millions of sockets are running per second on the internet. Suppose I'm using this PC, and my question to you first of all is, how many tabs you can generate in a single PC? So if your RAM supports, if you have quite a large amount of RAM like in TB or 16GB, 32GB, you can run multiple tabs. But what is the maximum number? It is from 49151 minus 1024. Remember that port numbers that can be assigned for our processes, private processes. So again, one more thing is that each port numbers, these type of port numbers, they are generated per IP. Means 2 raised to the power 16 port numbers can be generated per IP. For one IP like 10.1, we have this number of ports. Again, for different IP, we have this number of ports. So you can understand. So that's why we have no shortages of port numbers. Okay, then fine. So yes, this combination of IP plus port number, that is known as a socket. And yes, internet is working on the sockets like this. Fine. So just look at it. Data link, physical, PDU I have explained to you, so just go through it once more. And yes, okay, functions of each PDU, why we use. Okay, so just start from the beginning first of, so that we could see what is remaining. Okay, we have discussed this one, and okay, 7 layered upper layers and lower layers. Then summary we did, and in summary I told you each and everything about these layers na. So you can see this slide is for your reference. Okay, so application layer provide you interface, browser, etc. Example is this. So networking is all about using the applications. Okay, you know this, I have discussed in networking introduction video. What is the concept of header and trailers? I have told you already. Presentation layer has these functions. Okay, session layer has this function. Okay, transport layer I have discussed at length. Okay, example of TCP and UDP. And yes, just remember UDP is used for real-time applications like voice calling, video calling, and for rest of most of the purposes TCP is preferred, right? But yes, there are other examples like DHCP use UDP. Okay, so where you don't need exact transmission process, 100% data delivery, there you can use UDP. And one more thing, where you need real-time data transfer, there you use UDP. And let me give you one more example also why we need that. Suppose I need to send this data to you and it is divided into these parts. So to you all of these parts are necessary, 5, 6, 8, right? So we need each and every part at the receiving side. But when I'm calling you, when I'm doing video call, and suppose some of the pixels they are missing, means video quality is not good, so it's okay for us, right? It doesn't hamper anything. So it doesn't mean that this pixel, if it get lost in the network, it will not be retransmitted in the network. Okay, so just remember, it means suppose if I'm voice calling to you and I'm saying hello, okay, and this hello is dropped, and we are using UDP, so it will not be retransmitted. So it doesn't make sense that after 1 minute you will receive hello. No. So what I would do, I would say hello by myself again, so that will make more sense. So this is the use scenario of TCP and UDP. So okay, then concept of TCP UDP, port numbers, three-way handshake, internet using sockets we have done. Network layer, you can see IPv4 is there, IPv6 routers are there, and how to check your IP information. You can go to the CMD of your window and you can type ipconfig, right? So you will press enter, you will get the IP address detail, and to get all MAC and etc details you will type ipconfig space /all, right? Fine. So in later videos we will discuss how to check the IP details in Mac and in your Linux computer. Data link layer for error detection, for physical addressing, and yes, okay, these devices we are going to discuss in a separate video. What is a router, what is a switch, what is a bridge, and etc etc. So yes, physical layer, PDU explained. PDUs, why we use layered architecture. So yes, this is remaining. So yes, why layered architecture? Because see, as we have discussed that each layer is independent of other, okay, and like this is network layer, this is data link layer, and this is transport layer. So network layer need to get data from transport layer and need to send data to your data link layer. So why we have created these layers? Because see, if you are developing some protocol for network layer, it is only being done at the network. It doesn't hamper transport layer, doesn't hamper the processes of data link layer, because we are using layered architecture. We have isolated the network processes, right? But if we have not done this, all of the processes were to be hampered by this, right? So this is one thing about why layered. And again, if we discuss troubleshooting, like if I take this example, this is my PC, this is connected to my router, and this is further connected to my ISP, and there is no internet connection at my PC. Why? So I will check what? First of all, I'll check my cable. Is this okay? So what I'm doing, I'm checking physical layer. Okay, then I'll check if this connector is okay, right? MAC address, so that is a different thing. IP address is okay or not? Gateway is there or not, means layer 3. Link signal, what I will say, that green color light, if you will see on the connector, you will be getting on LAN cable, that is on layer 2, means if I am having some link lights or not. Okay, I'll check that, that is okay, cable is okay, link light is okay, IP is okay, fine. Is there any DNS issue, transport layer issue? It means layered, when I have broken the complete networking process into layers, it has made my troubleshooting process very easy to me, right? So these are some layers that yes, we have divided these network models into layers. Okay, so these are some things that I have written, you can study that. Okay, then encapsulation and decapsulation. Just look at this process. When we are sending data at the sender side, that is encapsulation, means data is being encapsulated. It means data unit plus information of headers of application layer, then your transport layer information are added, then your, so let me give you this example first. So what I'm doing is sending data from this. Okay, so let's get into simulation mode. See, each layer is adding its own data like this, outbound details. Okay, so let's do this again. See, this is that we are doing real time mein nahi milega, it will be in. So what I was showing you, that am I having IP addresses? Just a minute, let me check. So this is 192.10.1. Okay, so let me assign 10.1 IP, because I need to provide a gateway and everything, so just make it simple. like this. So let's take a different packet like this. So when I'm doing this process, see, from layer 7 data will get to layer 6, from layer 5, then layer 4, then it will be layer 3. So in packet tracer generally we'll see at layer 3, layer 2 and layer 1. So layer 3, what kind of information I'm adding? Source IP, destination IP, see this one. And layer 2, when the R process is done, what is R process? I'll tell you later, but once it is done, again this one, this data is having one more information, and that is MAC addressing. You can see at the layer 2. So these type of information, when I'm adding that layer by layer with the original data, that is encapsulation process, like that. But when the data is received at the receiving side, so that decapsulate it extract the information from that received part. Means what was the MAC address of the sender, what was the MAC IP address of the sender, what was the port address, etc, etc. And just remember, there is no name at upper layers of PDU, no. So PDU is just data, and data means data unit. Name of PDU is given at transport layer and then further lower layers, right? So this is about encapsulation and decapsulation. You can see, you can read about it here. I have discussed, I think, everything about this. Then PDUs at each layer, transport layer segment and network layer packet, and etc, etc. What is encapsulation? This is the formatting at sending host, receiving host, and so on and on, right? This is again for your reference kind of information we are having, type of protocols that are being used. And yes, where is OSI helpful in real life? I have told you when I was giving you the example of troubleshooting, so you can read about it. And I think this is it about this video, and I hope this video was informative to you guys. And this is a long video, but yes, I hope this is informative. Please let me know in the comment section, and keep supporting the channel as usual. Thank you so much for all the love so far. And yes, I'll meet you in next video, and I hope we'll be uploading more and more such videos. And this CCNA I hope to cover in 20-30 videos of this 1 hour, 1.5, maybe 2 hours videos. So I hope this is good, this is better, and this is best. So let's meet in the next video, and till then, keep learning, keep sharing, and be happy. Bye bye, take care.